Hi there and welcome. It's Roger V. We're about to start, and in this webinar, we're going to show you the Sales Magic Bullet system, and we'll let you decide whether whether it lives up to the title, but we believe it does. So we'll start here in just a minute. Before we start, I want to talk about our why, because it ripples through to everything that we do. Our slogan is empowering passion in business. And what that means to us is that you have certain parts of your business that you love and probably parts that you don't love so much. And if you're lucky, you've got a big enough team that you can delegate the stuff you don't like or the stuff that you're not good at and just focus on what you like. What I mean by that is a restaurateur starts a business because he or she loves to put a hot meal in front of people and show them a good time, for them to have a great time, and loves to entertain. It's not because he or she wants to deal with bookkeeping and taxes and business licenses and health code inspection and all that fun stuff. We want to make all those parts of your business, not health code inspection, but basically make certain parts of your business easier and more efficient and more fluid. And we've also seen a paradox that sometimes some of the best people are undermarketed and as a result not making the kind of income that they want. And it isn't because they're not good. It's because of marketing. So we love what we do, and we are a marketing and technology company, and so this is going to have that slant. That said, we want to help you solve a real-world problem, which is all about sales, right? And really revenue. So the Sales Magic Bullet system, it's an auspicious title. Does it live up to the hype? Let's get started. The biggest problem that you're facing right now is probably finding, hiring, training, and retaining, just 4 separate issues, great sales staff. So it's a thorny issue, and it plagues most small businesses. And frankly, to be totally honest, if you look at the statistics, you'll see what I mean. Most small businesses never get out of small business stage. They don't grow to mid-sized businesses and then national companies. And a lot of that comes down to revenue. Let's get real here. Let's talk about revenue, right? Revenue is kind of how if you've got the sufficient revenue, it's easy to solve most other problems. Most other problems can easily get washed away with money as long as you're making the sales. So focusing on the sales is definitely a worthy endeavor. So related to that are some problems that kind of go with that, is that you do hire somebody and it doesn't work out. And any small business owner, most small business owners, have had that happen, unfortunately, where you hire somebody and maybe it was against your gut, or you hired a friend of a friend, or somebody looked good and then kind of backstabbed you. Who knows what the situation is, but sometimes it just works that way, that hires don't work out. So we want to address that problem. There's also another problem, which is that hiring sales staff simply costs money, right? And even if you pay for training, even if you don't pay for training, if they're straight draw or straight commission or draw against commission and they never make a sale, that's obviously going to cost you money. But I'm talking about the actual impact to the company, right? Somebody's going to have to train this person, these new hires, and hopefully you've got that sort of automated, and you've got video training, and you've got training manuals and documents and a really good system so that it's smooth to bring in new staff. But that is definitely hiring really around sales more than anything, a bottleneck to many companies. And then there's retention. A lot of times if you've got hopefully this has never happened to you, but we've worked with many different companies and at a range of sizes up to hundreds of employees and as few as just one. And what we've seen is sometimes the great people will leave and start their own company, right? And we'll talk about some solutions to that. And so we want to make it easy and compelling and profitable for you to keep great staff and keep them motivated and focused and embedded in your company culture and that sort of thing. Okay, so how are we going to do that? We're going to have your sales team, and that may be just you, spend more time on closing, and that means less time on everything else. And this is going to, for sure, require some changes to your existing way of selling. And everybody's a little resistant to change, and I'm not saying you need to keep it. I'm requesting that you try it on, and if it fits, keep it, and if it doesn't, discard it, and maybe you'll learn something. But we believe that most sales teams that we have worked with, most small businesses and companies, can extend the effectiveness of their sales professional or professionals by splitting out demand generation. Now, note this also adds a little bit of a moat. Before I touched on making it more difficult for employees to leave you, and one of the ways that you can do that is split out your marketing or demand generation from your sales team, so that the salespeople then sort of become a little more dependent. That sounds bad initially, but sort of becomes a little more dependent on the leads that you provide them. And the upside there is that they're less likely to leave, and also you can add consistency. So a lot of salespeople have up and down months, and that's because they spend time prospecting a lot one month because they're getting slow, and then they get super busy the next month because they're working with those clients, and as a result, their marketing falls off, and so they end up with this roller coaster of income. And if you're a small company, or if you're a sole proprietor, or you'll notice that among your staff, and by splitting out your demand generation, your marketing, from your actual closing, then your closers, you'll use your salespeople to just spend more time closing and sort of the end of the line sale, right? Getting closer to the actual selling and writing a check or putting down their credit card or making the commitment. And then less time on everything leading up to that moment. So basically, it puts more of the work on advertising is at the very front end. That's sort of presence of mind. Marketing should be sort of in the middle to take clients up to the point of I'm ready to commit, and then your salespeople are going to close. So let's break that out. How we want to help you do that is a couple things. One, we're going to talk about media really quick and the importance of media and basically splitting demand generation, which is marketing, from sales. We know you want more sales. I got that. And you may, depending on your business, believe that certain parts of your sales, that you don't need marketing. You just need salespeople. And believe me, we've heard our sales team just needs to go out there and beat the street, or they need to pick up the phone and get some calls. That's demand generation. So some of the solutions include leveraging listening, right? So needs evaluation. The guys that say to us, oh, my sales team just needs to pick up the phone and call, and they're just not doing it. And I ask them, what's the biggest barrier keeping you from making more money, or keeping your company from making more money? And they say, oh, our sales staff isn't working, or something like that. That needs evaluation, there might be some ways that we can help you increase needs evaluation so that your sales staff spends more time closing. What I'm really focused on in this entire webinar is that your sales team should really be focused on closing. And if they can't close, we're going to help them close better and faster, and with less time investment. So some of that needs evaluation, that really comes down to a flow chart of logic. So for example, I used to do a lot of mortgage marketing in the heat of the mortgage years from 2001 through 2007, and developed a really systemized, efficient flow chart where I could ask exactly the 32 questions to get to the perfect mortgage for that person. And sometimes it's a little more complicated. It has to do with points, or it has to do with rate, or it has to do with something like that. You may have some logic where it's like, if red, then give them a few more points in this direction, or you sort of develop it instinctively. But if you really had to put pen to paper, you could maybe put, okay, this question is worth 2 points and this question is worth 5 points, and tally up that points, and if the points are this, then whatever. You could put some logic to it. Look into flowcharts. What that would look like is just pen and paper. Ask this question, ask this question, ask this question, and then make a recommendation. And even sort of leading through sales, if you're into Tom Hopkins and spin selling and that sort of thing, then you can even include in that flowchart the questions needed to sell on implication, to sell on meaning, or whatever that is for you. Clear training, that is about reducing the cost to your organization to bring staff on. So all of what you'll see a pattern here. I'm talking about mostly media, but it isn't media in the traditional sense. So again, what I want you to try on is that we're not telling you don't hire sales staff. What we're doing is saying maybe hire them better, and until you find perfect hires, let us help you get more mileage out of your existing sales staff. It'll hands down increase your profitability, because even expensive media is far cheaper than payroll and sales commissions and that sort of thing. Another tool is being really clear about your marketing funnels. And so what that looks like is we have whole webinars about marketing funnels and that concept. I'll assume that you know what it is, basically the funnel leading from advertising all the way through sale. And having everything refined where you have a sequence of events that always happens like clockwork in a CRM, a client relationship management system, tied to that with marketing automation tied to each step. We can also help you with that, but that's outside the scope of this webinar. What that allows for is that at a given moment, you know where somebody is in your selling cycle, and they're getting a steady stream of information. Another sort of another efficiency extender or leverage tool would be a personal assistant for your best sales staff to help with low-level tasks. This might be posting on LinkedIn.com if you're in B2B or B2B sales, for example. It might be sending out media. It might be whatever that is for you. There are certain tasks that can be delegated, and we want to free up time for your star sales staff to spend more time closing, less time on everything else. So just look at their schedule and ask them, how could I help you be more efficient? Last is leveraging education, and that's kind of what we're doing here, right? So we are creating this webinar. I want to give you useful information that you can truly take away, and whether or not we ever do business, I'm a stand that you get real value out of this webinar. And in doing so, I'm creating selling opportunities for us. We want you to do the same thing, right? Which is where what we're doing right now is leveraging the education, and I'm doing it in a one-to-many relationship where I'm one guy, and this will be consumed by many people, hopefully thousands. And we want you to do exactly the same thing, because there are certain conversations that you have that if you had more of them, they would make you more money, right? Or if the salesperson had those conversations, it would lead to making more money. And of course, that's going to look like webinars and video. Now, I'm going to stress on this webinar, webinars. And the reason that is because they're a lot easier. So first off, language affects expectation. If I say, take a look at this video, automatically you have in mind something that's closer to a commercial. You expect full motion, you expect production value, a little more work than necessarily a webinar. And I'm not saying video is bad. I love video, I really do. But it is more complicated for ethereal ideas and for purely information. So what I have learned in our marketing is to use webinars or pre-recorded webinars, something like that, because the language affects the expectation and people expect it to be informational. They're easier to produce. We kind of touched on that. And really it looks like, you know, doing this in PowerPoint or Google Docs Presenter or something like that and recording it. But it's primarily about the information. And thus the production is a lot easier than getting out a camera or a camera crew or anything like that. Focused attention. Now that has to do with event marketing. So for years when we were doing mortgages, we did a lot of short videos, and we found that 5 to 7 minutes is the ideal length for a marketing video. Any longer than that, and what's happening is people are just getting distracted, dinner's ready, lunch is ready, the secretary walked in, the dog needed to go for a walk, whatever, something happened, right? Whereas if we schedule it if we bill it as a webinar, then the expectation is a little easier in the sense of production value, and it also is more likely to command some attention. And I don't know what you're doing right now. You might be playing with your cell phone and wondering when this is going to be over and are you going to get anything useful, right? But assuming that you want results, I guarantee you, this stuff can make you money, right? I can help you grow your business with this content in this webinar, so hopefully you're paying attention. And if that's the case, we want you to do the same thing. And a webinar has to do with an event. If it's scheduled and I'm on this event and it's a live event, I can't pause it, we're going on without you if you don't pay attention, then as a result, we're more likely to get some of your attention for a short time. It's easier to share. And really, the most powerful of this is often in B2B sales what I call the CEO bunt, right? You go straight for the CEO. You know the CEO is not going to watch this webinar because it's not his or her job, right? So they'll bunt it down. But if the request to watch it comes from the CEO down to the CFO, for example, they'll probably watch it. If the CEO says, hey, watch this webinar and check out what they're doing, then it's more likely to get consumed than if you just approach the CFO directly. So start with the CEO and get it bunted down. Now, if you're doing B2C, business to consumer, obviously that's not going to apply, but social media is really going to apply, right? And you've got a bit of sort of embedded social proof, right? So if you get people to put this onto Facebook, onto Twitter, they just share it via email, which is the ultimate social network, right? Email is essentially a social network because it's human to human, and it's super easy to share. People just share the link, right? So online webinars, super easy to share. Another benefit is consistent presentation. You can, if you've got a sales team, then you've got a variety of sales effectiveness, every single team that we've ever seen. has some people at the top and some people in the middle and some people at the bottom. If you've got 20 people on your staff, you probably have two rock stars and 12 base hitters and a few people that need to be retrained or let go. That seems to be the common sort of group. Anyway, by putting your language and skills of your very best sales staff on their best day into the webinar, you can increase the effectiveness of your message and your message delivery. Furthermore, with pre-recorded webinars, you can even do split testing. So you don't have to guess as to which message is more effective. You'll test it. You'll run an A/B split test, right? Which is you dump 1,000 people into webinar A and 1,000 people into webinar B, and you notice that you made 17 sales on A and 34 on B, then obviously B is 200% more effective than the other one, and as a result, some of that message is really hitting home. So what you do is you run with B and then make some variations on that, and maybe you'll get to 37 or 40 or whatever, and you can kind of keep split testing until you get it carefully optimized. It's pretty hard for humans to be as consistent as media is, and as a result, you can't do the same split testing because there's so many, you don't have so many control variables, and as a result, you can end up with greater effectiveness. Now, that's not sexy. Nobody loves split testing, right? That's working like a scientist, but it will make you money if you do it. It works 24/7 if it's pre-recorded, and if it's not pre-recorded, then it's at least a one-to-many relationship. Again, I'm one guy, and I can address hundreds or thousands of people with this media, and we want you to do the same. It leverages your sales force, which really means your goal here is to have your salespeople spend more time selling, which I really mean closing, and less time on education, sort of knee-jerk reactions. When you make a webinar, of course, you can cut off sales objections at the pass in advance because you know what your most common objections are to your sales. So just work them into your presentation and your media and your videos and your webinar. The secret, this is pre-recorded. I'm speaking to you now, and while you're watching this, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm not here. And I want you to do the same thing. So a few of you are surprised now, and maybe you feel a little cheated or something. I don't think you should feel cheated. Everything about this was designed to carefully gather your attention, focus it for a short time, deliver a message, and deliver you a buying opportunity for me. And it's an opportunity for you to increase your business. And that's okay. You'll accept or decline it. I'm still a stand that you get value out of this, even if we never do business. But my point is that this is pre-recorded. I have the chance to edit it, to make it better, to split test, to do all of those things. And I want you to do the same thing. All right. So let's say that you're sold on that concept. Maybe not with us, but let's say you're sold on, that sounds okay, pretty good. Let's do it. So how do we do it? How to deploy is really just a couple simple steps. You're going to outline, and that's really about the headlines, right? So the headlines are going to look like, I love mistakes, and in some cases, and it depends on the media. Every marketing, every person, every human with regards to different aspects of their life is either repulsion or attraction motivated. If you're attraction motivated, you go to the gym because you want a six-pack. If you're repulsion motivated, you go to the gym because you start to put on some pounds or you have some health problems, right? And what sort of a marketing is best for you is going to depend on your audience. If you're marketing advanced financial products and your average consumer is very financially sophisticated, has a portfolio of 500,000 or more, you're going to come up with something that's attraction motivated, and it's probably going to be something like 3 steps to 17% better return on your portfolio, or 3 new tax secrets that can save you $40,000 this year, something like that, right? It's outcome driven, where it's something that I want to achieve. It's a goal. Now, if you're doing, let's say, credit repair, debt settlement, something like that, where it's these financial products and it's more about getting away from something, then obviously your marketing is going to be more repulsion motivated. And as repulsion motivated, then you can use mistakes, right? Everybody's afraid of making mistakes. They hate making mistakes. So 7 of the most common mistakes is something that we use in some of our marketing, or 10 most common mistakes. Everybody loves top 10 or bottom 10 lists. It just makes it sort of easier to consume and easier to comprehend. So anyway, point being is start with your headlines and come up with a few headlines that you know will grab your audience, and then create your outline around that. Next, you get into the nuts and bolts of recording, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Let me first outline. Anyway, first you outline everything, then you create and record it, edit it if needed. You'll Third, upload it to a webinar framework, and that's the presentation, that's the product that I'm going to show you in just a minute, and it's actually what you're watching. So this whole event, this experience was carefully designed to look live, but it's actually not, and we want you to do the same thing. Last is you just need to push some traffic to it, and that's promoting your event to your audience. Getting back to that headline, I think we kind of covered this ahead of myself. A general framework, you're going to start with your headlines. You're going to start with, then you're going to jump into the problem that you want to solve. This webinar is actually doing it. We want you to do the same thing that we're doing on this webinar for your business, right? So the problem or the goal. Make your problem worse or goal better. I haven't really done that so much because I want to jump into giving you true value, but what you can do is if you're selling solar panels, then talk about the rising cost of energy and sort of, stick it to them a little bit, and also make the goal that much more attractive. You're a sales professional. Propose a solution. That's your attempted close, to use sales terms about it. 5, you're going to head off some of the most common objections. You know what your most common sales objections are, and so head them off at the pass. And 6, you make a call to action. And ideally in a webinar, because it's an event, you want to make some sort of special offer. So we'll make a special offer. You'll see me doing it here in just a moment. And I want you to do the same thing because it's effective. But don't guess at which one is most effective. Split test it. Just split test everything. In terms of how to actually deploy, so that's first an outline. And that should really look like just a page of notes, something like that. It doesn't need to be complicated, and don't write out the whole script. Next, how to deploy. What you're going to do is produce your slides. I'm doing this in actual Google Docs Presenter, which is free, and it's at docs.google.com. It's really powerful. I love it. I've used Microsoft PowerPoint a lot, and I prefer Presenter. Or you can use Microsoft PowerPoint if you're more comfortable with that. And there's other tools that are similar to that, including open source and free ones. You can once you have the sort of outline and your slides done, then just improvise it. That's sort of the fun part, is just record it using Cam Studio. I'm doing this in Camtasia right now, which is pretty modestly priced. I think it's maybe $100 or $200 or something like that. And it's an investment. But, if you're concerned about the price, to be totally honest, some people prefer Cam Studio, and Cam Studio is essentially as good. They basically do the same thing. Camtasia, the company that makes it, also makes a product called Jing, and it's also really effective, especially for shorter things. For longer things, it doesn't have the same power of their paid tools, but for short presentations, it's quite effective, and I recommend it. It's just called Jing, so just look it up. And then last, because I mentioned this is pre-recorded, what's beautiful about this is you can edit it using any video tool. So it takes a little more work to do that if you choose to edit the video. However, you really have a chance to get it right, and it kind of sort of reduces some of the pressure. I'm not being super polished, and my language doesn't sound that polished, and I'm sure I'm ending with prepositions and all sorts of problems, right? I don't really care because I want to just deliver you value, and I want you to do the same thing. You don't need to be super polished. You just need to get the message out there as best you can, and it's okay if you show a little personality. It'll actually help. And so the video editing, what that does is if you stumble or the phone rings or something happens, fine. Just drop it into a video editor tool, whatever you prefer. Microsoft Movie comes with all Windows computers. iMovie, whatever the case is that you decide to use is going to be fine. But at the end of the day, what you should have is a video file there. How to deploy. Once you've got the actual video file, then we'll show you in a moment. We'll make a special offer to you that's how to upload it to this framework that you're looking at now, which is Swift Meeting, and then you'll share that to your audience. So we'll give you, as soon as you've uploaded the video, we'll give you a registration form, and you can either put that registration form on your site if you prefer, and then on the day of, we'll push them to a unique URL on our server, or you can just push all the traffic to a unique form, which is your traffic and your list and everything like that. And we can also integrate with auto responders if you choose, and send out reminders and stuff like that automatically on our platform. And so you just have a unique URL. So we'll really make it very easy. So overall, don't overcomplicate it. It really is, let me go back to those couple steps. It's just outline the outline and just do that on paper, right? Then you're going to create the video. You're going to upload it to a webinar framework, which we're hoping is going to be swiftmeeting.com. And then last, you're just going to push some traffic to it, which is promoting your event. So don't overcomplicate it. And really, at the end of the day, promoting it is just compelling message, which is your headline and your benefits, plus targeted delivery medium equals viewers and success, right? So you'll want to use Google Analytics, and we'll help you put that in so that you can, and we've got other webinars about that. We're a marketing company, so believe me, we're really into marketing analytics. We want to know that you put in 1,000 people and you got 117 leads, and out of 117 leads, you made 67 sales, and right, we need to know those exact numbers for you so that you can split test and make it better and keep growing your sales. How you're going to promote it, that's up to you. Email, social syndication, which is your Facebook and Twitter, that sort of thing. Postcards, phone calls, you could mail out the fancy tickets if you want to go down that road. So I've kept it short and sweet. Here's the special offer. $97, we'll give you everything that you need, and we'll help make sure that you get it done. It's very low cost considering the message, and if you look at that in terms of human payroll, it's nothing, right? You can't even, how many hours of your staff can you buy for this kind of money? And how many people can you reach with your sales staff, right? So this can be a really powerful way that's fairly low risk, lower than even hiring a person to get your message out there and help grow your sales. So what that'll include is one event, and you can swap it out for 3 times at no extra charge. If you're swapping it out every week or something, we're going to charge you some extra money. If if it's 5 times in 6 months or something, not a big deal. We want you to be successful with it. We will handle everything. So what you're going to do is you're just going to send us the video file, and you can mail us a DVD. You can send it to us on Dropbox or on Google Docs or FTP it or whatever. Bottom line is we'll handle that and set things up for you. So you don't have to learn software, is my point. We'll include a presentation outline, and that's going to look like a Google Docs presenter, which is comparable to PowerPoint. And you'll be able to, that'll be a great starting place for where to put your presentation together. You can also optionally do an interview style, right? So here's a screenshot of what that looks like. When you produce the video, of course, you can have just you talking on a webcam. I haven't done it here because I just want to focus on the information. But we can certainly do an interview with a split screen, just like you see here. And the upside is that's really good for maybe more complicated projects or webinars that aren't as much informational, and maybe you need to address things that are more, ideas that are more ethereal, for example, right? Also, I didn't put it in this list here, but you can definitely include video clips into a presentation style, slide style presentation if you need to demonstrate something specific. All of this is unlimited viewers. Technically, I need to say that's 10,000 a month. If you get over 10,000 a month, you won't mind paying a little bit extra for some bandwidth. We'll also include a timed pop-up, which you're going to see right about now. And what that allows you to do is put your call to action, right? I want to make it super easy for you to buy this now because I want to genuinely help you. And we want you to do the same thing. So I don't know what your call to action is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be to capture a lead, right? Request more information, which is going to get sent to your sales team or to you and say, hey, this person saw the webinar and they're interested, right? That's a hot, qualified lead. Or you can just go straight to a buy now button depending on your product. Or we can even do a redirect to some other URL, although that's obviously going to kill off the video. Last is support. We'll make sure that you don't get stuck. If you're getting stuck with audio issues or something like that, now we can't do everything for you for this. We're not going to come out to your office and record you. We could, but that would be more than 97. But what we'll do is we'll make sure that you get this done. And if you get stuck by some little thing, call us. We don't mind. We want to, we're staying that you get this online and that it's working for you and that it's making you money. And what we want you to do is don't overthink it and just kind of move fast and get one done, and then start refining it based on real world feedback, right? And what will happen as soon as people start consuming the media, you'll get some feedback, and it'll be say, hey, I didn't understand this, or what about that, or some objections will come up, and you'll realize you obviously didn't handle those either well enough, or maybe you addressed it and people just aren't hearing it for some reason because they're concerned about something else. You need to rework the language. You know what it is, and you know how what I'm referring to. We want you to crawl before you walk. Thanks for joining us. This is Roger V at Swift, and we are a technology and marketing and web development company, and we can help you grow your business. Take action now. Momentum is a powerful thing, and right now you have momentum, which is to do business your usual way. If you want the results that other people don't have, you'll need to do things that people don't do, right? And there's only 4 ways to make more money in sales, or in pretty much any sales. You can get more leads, you can increase the percentage of closing rate on your leads, you can make more money per lead, which also refers to some degree total revenue per client, so that's increase your referrals and that sort of thing. And last, you can decrease your expenses so that you just keep more money. And this system can help you with all four of those. It really should be a no-brainer for you to deploy it, but I can only create the tools and help you use the tools. I can't do everything for you. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, as they say. Hopefully I've created some water and want to help you grow your sales team. So get started. We look forward to working with you, and let me know if you have any questions.